Welcome to 74 Escapes new podcast series Breaking Bread with Vera Loulou. I'm Vera, and I will take you on a gastronomic journey to explore food as an expression of cultural identity. I'll be hosting chefs and industry professionals from all over the world to discuss everything about this art form that really nourishes our souls. Let's start. On this episode of Breaking Bread, I'm so excited to be speaking with Hanz Gueco. Hanz ranks as one of the most creative, young, adventurous, and international chefs in Paris. Originally from Sydney, his artistic sensibility shines through his visionary dishes and plating. After the apprenticeship at Mark Restaurant, he staged at Manresa in California, followed by Reagan in Tokyo and Franzen in Stockholm. Next came the pastry chef position at Andre in Singapore. Hanz is now currently living in Paris and is the executive chef at Verjus and Ellsworth in the first arrondissement. His primary focus is seasonally locally produced ingredients, and he counts Alain Passard and Ducasse as his greatest inspirations and mentors. And today, I welcome Chef Hanz to this edition of Breaking Bread. Chef, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
I am very, very impressed by your background and overall experiences. I must say, so when did you realize that your heart was in cooking? What was your childhood like?
Oh, my childhood was very normal. The food was not fine dining. And as soon as I saw that this other world of cooking, it's just eye-opening that it could be this way. And growing up, just loving eating, it was like, it was literally a kid in a candy store.
So your first restaurant was Mark, correct?
Yes, correct.
And then you proceeded to California. So tell me what it was like working in Manresa.
I was there for 1 month. I did a stage, and it was amazing. I must have been only 19 when I went, and it was. I'd never been in such a big kitchen. I mean, Mark, there was maybe 3 people in the kitchen at a time. And Manresa was, at the time, it was a 2-star restaurant. There was so many waiters, so many cooks, and these amazing products that would come through the door. And the chef, David Kinch, was, to this day, I think, the best cook I've ever seen, like pound for pound cooking. And now I really loved it, and it's still stuck with me, and I still use some of those recipes so long ago that I saw.
And to go back to your childhood, so you grew up in a family where you cooked a lot. Did your mother cook? What was it like growing up in Sydney?
Yeah, my mom used to cook a lot. We used to go out to eat at Chinese restaurants every weekend, and I loved that. And I think my passion for cooking grew when, my parents both worked nights, and it was just me and my sister. And I soon realized my sister couldn't cook very well. My older sister couldn't cook very well, so I'd have to do it myself, and it just grew from there. Very similar to me. I had a brother, and I started young, and I realized I had to take care of him. Yeah.
My mom worked late, so the experiment started, and this is before YouTube and cookbooks. It was just make a chicken.
I think those are the best ones. I mean, everyone wants the story of like, oh, my grandma, we picked peaches in the backyard and made pies, and I don't know. I think this is the real. I think most cooks start this way as well.
Well, I'm from Moscow, and when I was growing up, we did go to pick,
of course,
it was incredible. And my grandma was an avid mushroom picker, a real. So I grew up with that, and she used to pickle things and ferment stuff. So that was really fun. But like yourself, I did work at Den in Tokyo, and I'm just curious, what was your experience like in Japan?
Japan, I love Japan. I think it's one of my favorite holiday destinations. Working there was fun in hindsight, but at the time it's so difficult. It's like they are machines. Unbelievable. machines. They would work like
1 month
18 hours a
felt to me
day.
like 10 years, and I've
Yeah.
been hard, but
I know. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like 6-day weeks, and you're just, I don't know.
that's,
I don't know how they did it for so long. I was very impressed at
yes.
the end.
What was the ambiance like when you were working at Reagan?
In the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was very strict, but not, I don't know. It's hard to describe, especially since
As international as they were in Dan, what was the majority of people? Were they international or were they local?
no, there was one cook who spoke a little bit of English,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a few stagiaires, but they were Korean and knew a lot of Japanese. So, you know, even if there was like a lot of abuse and yelling, it would just go straight over my head. I'd have no idea what was going on. I was just in my own world. Yeah.
And so from there you went on to Andre, where you were a pastry chef.
Mm-hmm.
What are the challenges of making pastry in Andre and in Singapore in general? I can only imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good challenge because I would do a little bit of pastry at mock here and there, but never full time. And I really enjoy it. I don't know, I think a lot of cooks need this in the beginning because it gives a lot of structure to your work. And I think pastry in general is very influential to cooking. I don't know who said this. I think it was Albert Adria. He said every great food revolution was started with a pastry chef. And it's like, I think Escoffier or Carême was like the greatest patissier in France. And, you know, obviously he's very influential. And Albert Adria is a pastry chef. And, you know, I think that this like idea that food can be malleable is very important.
And so how long did you stay in Singapore?
I was there for about a year as well.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
so then you came to the one and only Paris.
Yes, I did a few little things back home.
But once you got here, what was your first experience and impression? And tell me about your journey since you've been here for 5 years now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you speak to a lot of people and they look back and they're like, the first year was the worst year of your life. I don't know what it was when you were living here, but just trying to organize everything.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah.
In a different way.
But I don't know. There's something that that just keeps you here, and I didn't think I would stay this long, and I don't know. It's just that's how it's ended up.
And 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so you compare Passard to Kanye West of cooking. Tell me why.
I honestly think Al Passard is like the cooking version of Kanye West because I just love his fearlessness. He just.
Garden?
I have been to the garden. I had one lunch at the garden, and I've been because I had a friend who worked at the garden. So I've been a couple of times as well, and it's fantastic. I just love his fearlessness. You know, he can. The Kanye West comparison, it's like one day he can slice some onions, put it on a plate, and put some olive oil on it, and everyone goes boo. And then the next day he does it with cucumbers, and everyone's like, yeah. Like
those boats and the carpaccio of onions did not do well with the comments. It was quite funny.
Yeah. and then recently he like stuffed an artichoke and everyone's going crazy. And
I like that dish. I would have loved to try it, but
yeah, no, it's I think you just gotta go and enjoy the ride on those ones.
And so did you by any chance happen to work with Alain or?
No, never. I don't know. I think it's actually one of my biggest regrets that I never even tried. I was a little intimidated when I first arrived here. And I should,
Really.
yeah, I should have at least tried. Was one of my biggest regrets. Even if they said no, I'd be fine with that. But now I'm an old man in cooking, and it's hard to start again.
I agree with you. And so tell me about why you admire Ducasse so much.
I love Ducasse because he's I think he's like the beacon of how a chef should be. I think his food is so timeless. I have so many of his books behind me, and you flip through them, and you have no idea when they were printed. They just have this like aura to them. It's almost like if someone was to hand you a piece of like Cartier jewelry, you don't know whether it's from 1920 or today. Like it's just like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
And so, very curious, what are your favorite places to eat in Paris?
My favorite places I love for casual, I love going to Clamato
Mm-hmm.
for some seafood and good vibes.
Oh, it's fabulous indeed.
Yeah, I've been going to Bistro Paubert very often because the restaurant's currently closed. So I go there for lunch a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, have I told you I was if you go to Bistro Paubert for lunch, there's always these old Frenchmen who eat there for lunch every day. And I always like imagine that
The usual
one day that
suspects, I call them.
yeah. And one day I was like, that's gonna be me. And I like would go there, and then and one day I went there every day for a week. And by the end of the week, they sat me like right next to where all
We're part of the
old
team now.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I've done it, I've made it.
They officially adopted you.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did the COVID impact you? I know you were busy with some projects, but please do remind us how you stayed busy during this crazy time for everybody.
Right. Well, COVID was yeah, you know, I mean, we've been closed since last March. Like Paris has just been insanely affected by it. But you know, things are bouncing back, and I've been doing a lot of things. I got an apartment, so I've been renovating my apartment, and I've started
progress. I absolutely love the zebra wallpaper. I think it's adorable.
Oh, thank you. I think yeah. I put it up, and I was like, I didn't know if it was like either the biggest mistake or the biggest joy, and I'm so glad that it's still a joy, and I'm not sick of it yet.
And I've been following your cutest little sculptures.
Oh yeah.
You have a mille feuilles chocolat, and you have just like Nona used to make it. So tell me how you make them and what goes through your mind when you make those cute little food-like sculptures.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't know why I had some yellow paper in my house. I think I was trying to frame something, and then I was just watching Netflix and fiddling with them, and then I was like, oh, this kind of looks like a rigatoni. So I'm like, oh, what else can I make? And then it took me like,
from?
It's just paper and glue.
Is it a specific type of paper?
Just like good quality, like art paper, and the same some fish glue. It's like just normal that you would buy at an art store. And it's been very interesting seeing what I can make, and it's nice. It's nice making stuff that's like doesn't just get eaten and disappear in 2 seconds.
2 hours making tortellini and 5 minutes to eat them.
Exactly. And then now I have this paper.
So what do you do with them once you're done? You put them up, or you give them to friends? What's the story? What's the aftermath of these projects?
For now, I'm just amassing a pile of paper that's not used or has no purpose. I have no idea. I really have no idea.
One day you can have an exhibition.
Maybe one day, fingers crossed. But if not, yeah, I can give them to friends. I feel bad giving them to friends because it's like maybe one day they'll want to throw them out and they'll feel guilty, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that to them.
And so tell me, so in your ideal world, outside of Paris, where would you like to live and work, given the opportunity? What would be the next stop for you?
For me, I think like the places that I would like to live and work has gotten smaller and smaller
As
throughout the
you get older
years.
and older,
Yeah, yeah.
you just
Well, you kind of learn what you want out of where you want to live and where you want to work and what kind of like environments they are. So for me, I think there's only like here, Sydney, and New York. New York, there's always been it's a dwindling desire, but there's always been a desire to live and work in New York. Yeah.
And so I know you have your 22 club, which is a small dinner club. Why is it 22? And tell me about the concept.
Yeah, so this is from the team at Verjus. While we've been closed, they've set up a pop-up at, well, I don't like the word pop-up, residency at a really nice apartment that overlooks the Palais Royal. And it's 22 club because it's 22 seats. Mm-hmm. It's on 22 Montpensier is the street. So it just all kind of fell that way. And it's actually, it's nice because it's such a small selection of people, and it's just one big communal table. So it's very interesting seeing the groups and the group dynamics of people.
Of a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of people. It's find it very endearing and interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes back to the original concept of Verjus, where the owners were doing these dinners at their own apartment. And I think it grew from there, and that's why they decided to open a restaurant. So I think for them as well, it's like almost like a bookend to their time in Paris, which is lovely, which is nice.
I'm curious to know, how do you create, I want to say, perfect plate? Do you think you break it a little bit? What goes behind creating a dish in your psyche? How do you? What leads you to that? What inspirations? Obviously seasonality, local ingredients, but how do you?
Yeah.
What inspires you when you create a dish?
Yeah, it's seasonality. It's classic dishes. I think that's important. You're flipping through old books, and then you're like, what if I can change like one thing to make it a bit more interesting? Then that's enough for me. There's like one of my favorite artists is Tom Sachs. He's a sculptor, yes, in New York, and he has this saying that creativity is like chili flakes. A little too much ruins the sauce. And I think this is the same way I feel about cooking. It's just a little bit.
And so what are you working on currently? I know you mentioned that you're reopening Ellsworth. What else is on your plate?
Yeah, so we have the 22 Club. We are currently about to reopen Ellsworth and Verjus. So it's 2 restaurants. That's very, very consuming and very focused on making those bigger and better.
And how the 22 Club? Is it monthly? Is it just?
It's a couple days a week till maybe next year, indefinite. Yeah. So it all depends. I think as well, Verjus might be down the line as well, and then it might be a lot. So it's undecided how long it's going to be.
And one last question before we wrap this up. What would be your words of wisdom to young cooks and chefs out there?
Oh, words of wisdom. I don't know. I don't think I have any words of wisdom. I would say taste, just taste things, taste everything, you know? Uh, it's surprising how many cooks you see that don't have, don't like food, which is just baffles my mind.
Yes.
Like, why are you doing it? You can do something else with your life that's a lot more, that takes less hours and it's more money. Just,
Without passion, I think they go hand in hand. Taste your food and put a little bit of passion. No.
yeah, exactly. I think so. I think that leads to desire and ambition.
Okay, my dear Hans, it was such a pleasure to be speaking with you on this episode of Breaking Bread. I really hope to see you in Paris in November. Taste some of your seasonal plates, have aperitif, and thank you for being with us. Santé.
Fantastic. Thank you.